Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share part 2 of my journey in creating Wonderland Sculpture Park. If you missed part 1, you may want to stop here and click the link in the description below. Please show your love and support by hitting the like and subscribe so you don't miss when the next part is released. If you want to support Wonderland Sculpture Park, please consider visiting our GoFundMe. Link is in the description below. So let's get to it. I hope you enjoy part 2. So on with the story of my journey. It was now the fall of 2019, and I had done the unimaginable. I finally quit my unfulfilling job, and it felt amazing. I was filled with joy inside. It was like a giant weight had been lifted off my shoulders, even though I had no plan going forward. I did a lot of thinking. For the first time in my life, I stopped worrying about everyone else and focused on what it was I wholeheartedly wanted to do with the rest of my life. When I was able to clear my mind, it came to me immediately. Selling art was not my path, but sharing the art with other people was what I had to do. I decided that I wanted to make a sculpture park and bring people to nature to see that beauty as well as the creativity of my art. I even knew I wanted to call it Wonderland Sculpture Park. When I shared the idea with my biggest fan, my mom, she was excited and willing to donate all her art to the park that she had worked on for years. The next thing to figure out was where the park would be. I was going to have to sell my house and find property that allowed my dream to come to fruition. I immediately contacted a realtor. After meeting with the realtor, I cashed out my 401k and started putting together a plan. The realtor sent me various vacant properties on the market. I made a chart up with different characteristics and started looking around. I hadn't realized that you can't just buy land and do whatever you wanted to, but you had to be sure that the town allowed it. For example, making an art park wasn't an excitable idea for all towns I searched in. For that reason, my search started pushing me farther and farther away from my biggest supporters and fans, my parents. One day, out of nowhere, my mom, feeling my concern over the availability of land nearby, told me what I needed to hear to keep my dream alive. I had to start searching properties that were starting at an hour away from their house. I'm very close with my mom, and it was a bit worried that relocating that far away would push us apart. It was like she always knew what was necessary to make the divine's plan come together. So I started looking at properties further out. My daughter and I went and looked at a property that was located on a big hillside. We hiked up the property, and it was pretty in its own way, but the access to the top was at this point only able to be reached by foot. I brought my parents to see the land and get my dad's opinion if it was possible to make a roadway to the top. My dad had experience in this area from his younger years. With the answer being a hard no way, I reverted back to my list to start again. We stopped for lunch at a small diner in town to put together our next move. As we went over the list, my mom pointed out a property and said that she thought I should take a look at this one. She just had a good feeling about it. That's what I was waiting for. I knew she had a special intuition that would guide me in the direction I needed to go. Not at all a bossy sense, but a divine sense that she didn't always share. It sparked my interest as I had come back to this listing several times before, but dismissed it for one reason or another. So we finished up our lunch and we headed over there. We pulled into a simple driveway clearing and got out to look around. We walked a little way into the property. It was so beautiful and serene. A feeling of tranquility came over me. I watched as my mom walked down a trail and was looking around so peacefully. As I took some pictures, I began to block my excitement from getting the best of me. It felt so right, it overwhelmed me a bit. It seemed so perfect. It was a beautiful wooded lot with lots of wildlife and a calming, peaceful feeling. This was definitely at the top of my list. After arranging a viewing of the property lines with the listing agent and the current owner, I made an offer, and by the end of November, I owned my 20-acre dreamland. Again, my biggest fans and supporters, my parents, helped me tremendously in the coming months. I put together a drawing of a simple and small house. Then I took it to an architect, and within a couple weeks had plans for my perfect little house. My parents had built their house about 40 years earlier, so they had great advice to give. My dad and I spent much quality time trekking through the woods, putting up markers and such for the placement of the house and the driveway. I spent many hours talking to various builders, excavators, electricians, and everyone needed in the process of building our little house on a budget on my dreamland. By this time, it was the holiday season, and I was very much a big decorator for Christmas. The plan now became enjoying our last Christmas in the house I had never thought I would leave. After the holidays, I spent the next month preparing to put my house on the market. I had bought a shipping container and we had it delivered to the land where we planned to build our new home. As I decluttered and cleaned, we moved things to the container, and at the beginning of February of 2020, my house was listed for sale. The timing was perfect as the housing market was rising. After many showings and a couple of open houses, it sold before the end of the month. Again, the timing was divine as the outbreak of COVID became a national disaster. With the process moving a bit slower due to the circumstances, we moved loads weekly to our container, and then we moved our 23-foot camper to where we would reside during the building of our house. The house we moved from had so many memories, almost 20 years of growing in this place. So many holidays, gatherings, projects, renovations, and life experiences. Many would have thought that leaving the house would have been a saddening experience, but the excitement to what the future held was much greater. Today, I can honestly say I have never doubted my decision in moving forward to make my dream a reality.